CBS Sports presents Pennzoil at the Half, sponsored by Pennzoil, specially formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Welcome, everyone. Pennzoil at the Half. Greg Gumbel along with Clark Kellogg. And let's first talk about Weber State and Florida. This is a 5-point game, and the Wildcats, who are 19-0 and leading at halftime, are sitting in a pretty good position.
Both of these teams are excellent offensive teams. They shoot a high percentage. They've done that in the first half. The difference has been the turnovers. Florida has 14 turnovers, and that's been the difference in the first half.
The winner in this game meets Gonzaga in Phoenix on Thursday. Now at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. At the break, Detroit trailing Ohio State 25-12. Boy, Detroit head coach Perry Watson came in on such a high from 2 nights ago, but he ran into Scooney Penn.
And this is what the Buckeyes like to do. Push it ahead. Scooney loves to knock down that 3 in transition. He drills that one.
And more Scooney Penn here. These two teams fighting for the right to meet Auburn in Knoxville on Thursday. And right now the Buckeyes are in charge. 4th seed in the South. 25-12 is the lead for Ohio State. At Key Arena in Seattle today, Gonzaga upset the Stanford Cardinal. 2nd seed Cardinal 82-74. Some of the big moments of this action as it transpired today.
Again, are getting to the shooter.
Santangelo reels and deals and fires and hits.
Think about it is the patience after.
Oh, they didn't cover from. Right down the lane.
And their perimeter players are as good as any in the country.
Lee off the fingertips of Manson.
Well, Dan Munson's doing what his father did. His father, Don, took Idaho in 1982 to the Sweet 16, and now Dan Munson has Gonzaga to Phoenix.
And for little Gonzaga University, dreams do come true.
Clark, there were some questions about the Bulldogs. Yeah, they knocked off Minnesota. Minnesota's missing 2 starters, 2 bench guys, but now they beat the 2nd seed Stanford Cardinal. How far does this team go?
They've got a chance to do great work if they continue to rebound like they did today. That was the big difference, the way they fought inside and rebounded the ball.
They play the winner of the Weber State-Florida game. In Indianapolis, Oklahoma State and Auburn, the top seed Tigers shook off the Cowboys 81-74. Listen in to some of the action from this game between the top seed in the South and the number 9 seed.
And still settling for shots that they don't necessarily want. They want that one. Pullman, another throw.
1-3-1 trap, almost effective.
Smith. And Jai.
Doc Robinson. Cliff on a
Jai with 10 on the shot clock.
What a cut.
Pullman in the lane. Hit it!
What a back cut. Can that kid read? Oh, was that gorgeous. Offensive play earlier, shutting off the passing lane to Joe Atkins.
13 seconds left, and now Oklahoma State is really up against it, down by 7. Gottlieb picks it out. Mason. Rebound Peterson, but time has run out on Oklahoma State. Auburn, the number 1 seed in the South, advances to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1986.
And the Auburn Tigers will play the winner of Detroit-Ohio State. Now, those of you watching that Detroit-Ohio State game, we'll send you back to Indianapolis for the second half of the action there. Those of you watching Weber State in Florida, stick around. We'll take a break and come back with more in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. Earlier today in Denver, 2nd round action in the West, the Iowa Hawkeyes came from behind to beat Arkansas by 10. Here's some of what transpired there.
This is Settles. The catch, release, and the deuce for Koch. Outside, McCausland spots up. Hits another 3.
Look down the floor. Oh, what a play!
Oliver gets it to Jess Settles for the slammer.
Settles snuck out. What a play by Oliver. This is going to be a very emotional finish for Iowa.
Dr. Tom Davis will coach another game for Iowa. And it is over here in Denver. Iowa is going to Phoenix.
And they will play UConn in Phoenix. Here's what happens tomorrow. We start the day with Tulsa versus Duke's Blue Devils. Tip time 12:10 Eastern Time. Trajan Langdon will start for Duke. Then The second set of games, Oklahoma against UNC, Charlotte in the Midwest, Temple against Cincinnati in the East, Miami of Ohio, Utah, and Southwest Missouri State meets Tennessee. And our triple header to wrap things up, Ole Miss against top seed Michigan State, Purdue and Miami of Florida, and Kansas against second seed Kentucky in the Midwest. Second half from Seattle coming up between Weber State and the Florida Gators. Enjoy, everyone.
Pennzoil at the Half has been sponsored by Pennzoil, specially formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Moments ago, Billy Donovan tagged with a technical on sportsmanlike conduct.
Pleading his case after he said something to him that he didn't say something to him.
There's Gill with a technical shot and one more.
And they usually don't take them back.
No, I've never seen one taken back. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's a two-point game with the technical 2 points on Billy Donovan.
Well, we'll see how his team responds. And actually, it wasn't done for a purpose. Some coaches do it for a reason. Billy was upset over the previous call before the timeout.
Arsenault got it, but tapped up and in by Baskerville.
Well, created because 3 Gators went to Arsenault. Nobody on Baskerville to block him out. Mike Miller got hit. Slow coming to the offensive end.
5 minutes gone in the half. Ladarius Holden is in the game, launching that shot, wipe it away, and a foul called on the defending Gill.
Well, Halton, a big-time talent. He had shot on his mind right away. Take a look at the foul, the reach. Halton just checked in and ready to stroke it.
And he's a freshman, and he was the Florida High School Player of the Year runner-up to the other Gator, Teddy DePay.
Yeah, what a big-time talent he is.
Weeks and Shannon. Haslam is in another freshman with Wright.
And Halton can do as the others do. He can pull the trigger. A little more to his game by putting it on the floor, too. Pretty athletic.
Haslam surveys. Halton.
Play war inside. Eddie Gill at only 6 feet, guarding the 6'7" right.
The Buckeyes blasting Detroit and Indianapolis. Shannon drives and comes up with
what a pretty move. Nice up and under.
Gill the other way. Floating in. Left on the play and a foul. Iowa with the win. Gonzaga with the win.
Take a look at Eddie Shannon right down the middle. Up, under, and through. Pretty play, but you can't hold your breath or stop right there because Weber State comes right back on top.
Miller is bleeding from the lip. And, boy, you got a pretty good view of it right there. Steve Milton, our director, and our producer, Vic Frank. Gill hits the first. And now Weber State to within 1 point of tying Florida. .85% free throw shooter from Aurora, Georgia, Eddie Gill.
And Weber State has stayed man-to-man this whole evening. Remember on Thursday night, they changed defenses a couple times.
In the midst of our 6th tie. Shannon guarded by Arsenault. Right inside. Haslam moving that big body on a spin and a foul. Catch him, picks it up for Weber State.
Simply too big and too strong inside, and you can't let him establish that low post position.
Still working on David Dodge, one of our officials. Looking for Haslam off his fingertips and ricocheting out of bounds.
And he sparred because Dodge was not the one that gave him the technical foul. So you kind of work the other guys and stay away from the one you didn't make happy before.
And a traveling violation on Baskerville as he's ready to end Brownie. That's going to bring the coach out of his seat.
Well, Steve Wilmer told him you have a position.
And you have to listen to what they say, and you have to know the situation. Can run the baseline if they score.
Haslam inside, back out to right. Thought about three, working on Arsenault. Inside to Haslam, and a foul behind once again on Ketchum. He's got 3.
And Andy Jensen remembers on the sideline with 3 personals. So the big player's in trouble. Good decision by Wright to go back inside as Haslam reestablished himself.
Florida shooting 56% from the field. A 3 and a miss by Kenyon Weeks.
Noel Jackson is only 5'11", but he is so strong with the shoulder. He simply pushed Weeks out and really didn't even jump for the rebound.
Arsenault up and off. He has yet to score in the second half.
Good solid defense, making him earn his points.
Arsenault 0 of 3, had 21 in the first. Holton launching a 3, right between the eyes.
Kevin, what's amazing about Florida players is once they come in the game, they're looking to shoot it. No sense breaking a sweat, working something up. They're looking to score.
Gill to Ketchum. Ketchum to Arsenault. Fumbled it, got it, reload it. It's Gill. 7 minutes gone in the second half from Seattle. With John Sundvold and Mike Harris, Kevin Harlan.
Good help.
Can't get it, he's 0 of 4.
Good job by the freshman Udonis Haslam to come help Shannon run the mismatch.
Right. Taken off by Baskerville. 3 on 2. They'll slow it up, curling on the side.
Kevin Arsenault's wanted everything on the post, and when that happens, he's easier to double team. He needs to come outside and find it.
Here's Arsenault, missing again. 0 of 5 in the second half. Weeks. Whoa, and they're going to call him for a technical. He had the fist cocked and ready to fire. The second technical called on Florida. One on the coach, one on Weeks.
And Weber State tired. They're standing around. If Weeks can get rid of this basketball, they'll have layup on the other end. Now watch you.
Right there, the right hand.
Fake?
Yep.
The fake, but they will call that.
And now Donovan is calling his entire team over to the bench as he has a conversation with David Dodge. But right now, with the young team in the tournament for the first time in a while, you've got to control and harness the emotion.
And they have Weber State on the ropes. Kevin's, in fact, only hit by 3. But this Wildcat team from Ogden, Utah is tired in the way their body mannerisms. On that particular rebound, there were 4 black jerseys standing there. But again, if Wright or if Weeks simply clears that ball, it's a layup on the other end.
Just taking care of some paperwork on the side, and they'll put Gill, the 85% free throw shooter, and the number 2 scorer on the team. And tonight is a total of 13, with it staying there, missing his first.
Gill, a solid night in the win over North Carolina. 16 points, a couple assists.
And possession for Weber State.
And Gill hit big free throws down the stretch of that ballgame.
Arsenault is staggering here in the second half after blistering him, dropping 21 on the Gators in the first.
I think he's better, though, popping out and creating something off the dribble. If you catch on the low block, you're much easier to double or triple team.
Weeks is on Baskerville. Holton, the freshman, is on Jackson. Arsenault with Stolt there, the spin, and he lost it. And it's a 2-on-1. Holton from Weeks, and Holton up and off.
Tough angle, Kevin, to convert that.
Baskerville to Arsenault. Shannon is there defending and closed the door. Jackson tripled, lost it, and it's a 3-on-1. And a foul called on Weber State. Baskerville with the knockdown as they crossed midcourt. But watch the straight jacket defense inside.
Well, the excitement now from both teams, more verbally in the pushing and shoving. The triple team inside. Eddie Shannon makes a terrific block. Jackson on the floor, and as they came the other way, Shannon then was leveled at half court.
This game is taking on almost a belligerent tone.
Well, it's gotten awfully sloppy. And both teams doing a lot of pushing and shoving. Teams look tired, grabbing with their hands.
And if you're on the sideline coaching these two teams, what do you tell them? Guys that have not had a great deal of tournament experience.
Well, the key, obviously, Florida has more bodies that they'll play anyway. So keep rotating fresh bodies in and keep the pace up. Weber State, they just have to understand that our opportunity is the fact that we control our destiny on the offensive end. Take good shots.
Here is college basketball's most courageous player by the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. With only one eye, Eddie Shannon, injured in 7th grade, hit by a rock on the playground while he was out there with his friends. His vision grew worse, and the eye became worse as time went on. They removed it recently, and the depth perception, he says, is his only problem. But the size of his heart has never been in question.
Yeah, terrific player. Did not tell. Most people didn't know about the eye.
Inside to Harris as Ohio State continues to pummel Detroit.
Now look at the defensive quickness by Florida.
Arsenault with the miss and fouled on the play on the perimeter. St. John's a winner today. Maryland will advance. Steve Francis is terrific. Auburn with a convincing win over Oklahoma State, the darling from the Big 12, and the ship steered by Eddie Sutton goes down today. All the scores, CBS.sportsline.com. Harold Arsenault.
And the free throw line is an area where a scorer likes to get his game going. Struggled this half so far scoring the ball when you get the foul line. Make yourself a couple of shots that get you going, but he missed the first one. He may be wearing down.
He is 5 of 7. That will rattle on in, bringing the Wildcats of Weber State, the 14th seed, to within 2. 11:15 in the second half and a timeout. We've got a riveting game here in Seattle. It's 60-55 as the 6th seed Gators lead the 14th seed Weber State Wildcats with 7.5 to play.
Defensive battle so far. The key, though, Harold Arsenault. Only 2 points, and you see in the second half, 0 of 5 from the field. Billy Donovan's team has done a solid job at following him up.
And again, he made some nice adjustments, Donovan did at halftime.
Yeah, he did. Terrific.
Weber State, 3 baskets this half and 8 turnovers, and a very quiet Harold Arsenault.
And Florida does not get enough credit for their defense. And again, it was the defense the second half versus Penn. Penn shot 27%.
Miller with the shot clock at 24, so plenty of time. Weeks out to Shannon.
And Stoltz has had the hot hand.
He's now trying to set a screen. Right. Driving by Ketchum. And was stripped of the ball and fouled inside the lane. I think Gill got it.
It looked like Eddie Gill got it. Good help defense by Gill. Right looked like he had an opening. Good weak side recognition by Gill. Where he comes from. He's not even in the picture. Slides across. The reach in, the foul. Wright goes to the foul line. 65% free throw shooter.
Fred Wright from Miami. USA Today Florida High School Player of the Year. Raised by his grandmother in Miami. And a guy who appreciates his roots and recognizes friendships. Under his jersey, under his 00 jersey, is another one, a t-shirt with 00, and that is to honor a friend who was shot last year. Missing there, and the rebound is inhaled by Chris Woods.
And let's see if this Wildcat team can get Harold Arsenault back in the flow of the offense.
Baskerville, who had back spasms earlier in the game. Ketchum to Gill. Arsenault.
Kevin, he's not exploding at all. He has not taken it off the dribble. He's hesitant. First half, he would have blown right by Stoltz. That time, he was going to kind of go and then just simply stop.
His charismatic play on the floor has leaked right out of him. And Weber State is struggling because of it.
Interesting, though, that Florida cannot pull away. Only 5-point ball game.
Major punt. Outside to Weeks, now to Wright.
And good patience. They're still looking to pound it inside.
And eating up the clock, enjoying their biggest lead in this half of 5. The 3 won't go. Parker had a hand on it, picked up by Baskerville. Arsenault flying to the rack. Ketchum with the tap. Arsenault puts it in.
He looked like he lost control going the first time. But he didn't stay out of bounds. He came back in to make the tip, and that may get him going.
Here, Florida by 3 in Indianapolis, Ohio State by 24. A Florida turnover.
Baskerville, terrific defense on the overplay, the active hand. He has done a lot of good things tonight.
St. John's destroyed Indiana earlier today.
Take a look as Arsenal looks like he loses control of that basketball. Kept alive by Ketchum, and then Arsenal gets another tap.
Maryland is in the Sweet 16. UConn is in the Sweet 16. Iowa, Gonzaga, all there. Baskerville looking for Arsenault, picks it up, plenty of time to shoot. From 3. Weeks grabs it in thin air. He's got 9 rebounds.
And over the top of everybody at 6'4".
Miller to Stoltz. To Shannon. Weeks. Oh, and he took one too many steps as he was detonating off the dribble.
And Miller has been quiet on the offensive end. Only 3 of 8 from the field. The other freshman, Dupay, only 1 of 6, so they've struggled tonight.
Saw Billy Donovan, an unabashed disciple of Rick Pitino. Played for Pitino, coached under Pitino. Pitino and him went to the Final Four for Providence in '87.
Yeah, 1987. Billy was the most outstanding player, Southeast Regional.
Arsenault rips it! This kid brings you right out of your seat.
He's back.
We are tied at 60 with 5 to play. Baskerville slip. Miller.
Good pass.
To Wright. To Stolt for 3. Down the other way it goes.
Terrific decision by Wright. Gathered himself, simply kicked it out to the hottest of your teammates. Stolt with 20.
Baskerville doubled and hemmed. And Gill helps him out.
Weber State has such good ball handlers and terrific athletes.
Arsenault again, almost pickpocketed by Stolt. They'll try to gash the defense. Rebound Baskerville. Up and fouled on the play.
But what happens when Arsenal's aggressive? Kevin, the defense goes to him. 2, 3, maybe 4 guys, and so the avenues are open on the offensive glass.
And he has got to be cognizant of pitching it outside.
Well, that too. I mean, anytime you put it in your best player's hands, something's going to happen. If he can draw 2 or 3 defenders, guys are going to be open by the pass, or if he simply gets it up on the rim, they should be able to tap in for rebound.
Later tonight on CBS, meet 2 private eyes who have learned from the best, from the producers of Walker, Texas Ranger. It's the next generation of justice. In all new Sons of Thunder, a special guest appearance by Chuck Norris. That's tonight on America's Address. CBS. Baskerville drains his first throw as Wright checks out, and the freshman Haslam re-enters the game.
Solid ball game by Baskerville. 8 and 7 now. Solid defensively. He's come up with a couple steals.
Weber State from the line tonight, 15 of 18.
Kevin, the role players are always the ones that make the difference in advancing in this tournament.
Like Miller and Haslam, and a foul called on Ketchum of Weber State.
Good post down low once again by the big freshman, Udonis Haslam. Gets great low post position.
Haslam will be at the line. 63% free throw shooter. He's a freshman from Miami, leading his high school team to 3 consecutive Florida high school championships. Ketchum has his 5th, and he is gone with less than a minute to play in Indianapolis. The Buckeyes are going to the Sweet 16. Beating 12th seed Detroit. As will UConn and St. John's in Iowa, and down the line they go.
Andy Jensen will re-enter this ball game. A new father. His wife Micah, baby boy Andrew Brock on Sunday.
He's 25 years old.
Already talked about his brother Alex, University of Utah, though the parents are here in Seattle because this is Andy's senior season.
Udonis Haslem. Everything you miss now is going to be crucial.
Becomes a possession game, Kevin. How you handle things, what shots you take, and you have to make free throws.
He gets it, and we are under 4 to play. A timeout taken. The 6-seed Gators lead the 14-seed Wildcats by 2. With John Sunbolt and Mike Harris, this is Kevin Harlan. Weber State, the 14th seed, is trailing 6-seed Florida 64-62. Weber State beat North Carolina shockingly on Thursday. The Gators got here coming from a double-digit deficit to beat Pennsylvania on Thursday as well. And so this is where we stand. Unheralded Weber State from Ogden, Utah, against the Gators of Florida with one of the young up-and-coming teams in college basketball.
And Teddy Dupay inserted in the lineup.
He called a timeout. He called a timeout on the floor with everything caving in on him. Chris Woods, a freshman from East Chicago, Illinois, and the presence to get the timeout in.
And the Gators have had few opportunities to come up with steals tonight, and that was one, and they missed out.
Take us inside each huddle.
I think the key for Weber State, obviously live, you see the active hands by Eddie Shannon. Mike Miller not being able to corral it. Can't tell if that's Haslem can't get it. Good presence to call a timeout, but I think Weber State, obviously Arsenault is the guy you want the ball in his hands at the right places on the floor. Maybe the wing away from the basket. If he gets it on the post, that's usually a double triple team. He's had trouble with that. Eddie Gill is the other guy. He should handle it and find his teammate Arsenault. Those are the two main guys. They can both create off the dribble. They can both shoot jump shots.
Arsenault had 36 against North Carolina on Thursday. And tonight he's got 28.
And Billy Donovan is going to a 2-3 zone.
What do you think of that?
So look for Eddie. Good call, but look for Eddie Gill to try to find some opening. Terrific outside shooter.
The Buckeyes going to the Sweet 16, 75-44 over Detroit.
5 seconds on the shot clock.
Gill, the crossover, lost the ball. Shannon gets it to Dupay. Up and off. Haslem can't slam it. He hung on the rim and a technical foul. The third on the Gators tonight.
Well, Shannon with the great strip. Dupay the push, and you know what? Gill makes a terrific effort to get back, and Haslem simply doesn't corral that basketball with his hand. Look at the play by Gill, though, the hustle. He could have given up. The technical, because hang on. Haslem simply doesn't get the basketball in his hands.
Haslem is saying that he was trying to protect anybody else that might have been in his wake, thus hanging on.
And at 260 pounds, he might be right. Those guys running underneath that. Big break, though, for Weber State.
Gill has been to the line often tonight, where he is 6 of 7, coming in as an 85% free throw shooter.
Yeah, led the Big Sky in free throw shooting. Hit the big ones down the stretch in the win against North Carolina.
This could tie, and it does.
Big break for the Wildcats. And now again, Eddie Gill should have the basketball. Either himself or Arsenault, because when Arsenault gets it, it has allowed avenues for Jackson and Baskerville to hit the offensive board.
Cinderella has already let in Gonzaga. Will they let in Weber State? Intercepted by Stolt.
Simply read that the whole way. The senior, the co-captain.
13 turnovers in this half for the Wildcats. DuPain to Weeks to DuPain. Goes by Gill with a great fake. Rebound is brought down by Arsenault.
And had a look, but DuPain now only 1 of 8 from the field tonight.
They will orchestrate and again the zone 2-3.
And have not had any looks the last 2 times down. They forced it against the shot clock. They were stripped and the turnover last time.
Baskerville looking to pry open something.
Trying to be patient. You can't stand though. Now the shot clock gets down to 12. They need more movement.
Arsenault's on the perimeter, and Gill wisely calls a timeout with 9 to shoot and 2:21 to play. Welcome, folks, to the NCAA tournament. We are tied at 64. Wow. 14 seed Weber State tied with 6 seed Florida. 2:21 to play, and following basketball, it's America's Night of Heroes, beginning with an all-new martial law with Sammo Hung and Arsenio Hall. Then, on the producers of Walker, Texas Ranger, the next generation of justice, Sons of Thunder. All tonight on CBS. You see the shot clock down to 7. Arsenault, the spin, he hit it!
Bingo!
An incredible shot by Arsenault! That was out of this world! Two-point Weber State lead.
Stoltz has had the hot hand for Florida, but he can't stand inside the post and not receive the basketball.
And the steal by Gill.
And the fans in Key Arena are trying to find another Cinderella.
We've already seen Gonzaga today defeat Stanford. Last year's Final Four team. Jackson, Baskerville, Gill. Shot clock is at 6. Jackson for 3. Rebounded by Shannon here. He'll come out of the blocks and off for the races. Timeout, Florida.
Yeah, good timeout by Billy Donovan. They've been unorganized on the offensive end the last couple times down.
Florida has 1 full timeout in 2:20. Weber State left with 1. Arsenault's got 28. His Wildcats lead by 2. Great play by Harold Arsenault here.
The shot clock's going down, and look at Stoltz comes in. He's already trying to block him out because he thought Jackson was going to shoot. The fadeaway up and above. He's had a tough second half. None bigger than that. 36 on Thursday, 30 tonight.
66 points in 2 games. For complete coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com. Our stand of the game here.
Florida shot the ball well. Not the right guys at the right time. We'll see what they set up here. Again, the hot man has been Greg Stoltz. Now a 3-2 zone defense by Weber State. First time we've seen it all game long.
You like it?
I like the decision. It slows down the offensive movement. Good pass.
Right outside. DuPain for 3 in the lead.
How about the freshman?
Florida has been scoreless for the last 3 minutes until that shot by freshman Teddy DuPain.
Had missed most of his shots, only 1 of 8. Not bashful.
2-3 zone by Florida. Timeout Weber State. That is their final timeout. Ted DuPain hits a big-time 3. The Gators by 1 with a half-minute to play. Another mesmerizing game from the West region in Seattle with John Sundvold, Kevin Harlan. Ted DuPain just buried a 3, which gives the Gators a 1-point lead with 36 seconds to play. What about these teams now with a half-minute to go, John?
Well, 14 seconds left on the shot clock, so Weber State has something probably set up by the timeout. Again, Arsenault and Gill are your weapons. Put it in their hands, let them create. Baskerville and Jackson can get something off one of those 2 if the double team comes.
Gill with 3 on his mind. Rebound fought for, clamped onto by Stoltz. And it's a foul inside on Gill. And the Gators to the line, leading by 1 and 27 seconds left.
Solid block out by Miller and Stoll.
Arsenault with 30, a quiet second half after a scintillating first half with 21.
A spectacular start again. Billy Donovan's ball club adjusted at halftime. Made it more difficult to Arsenault, but I think, Kevin, he's become tired, especially early in the second half. Now finally gotten his legs into him and scored a couple baskets.
Greg Stolt has been a terrific story for the Gators today. John told you in the first half his dad played college basketball with ex-Bulls coach Phil Jackson. He's got 21 points tonight after coming off an 8-point game Thursday. 2-point game. Gill and Shannon is tagging along.
And Lawson is the shooter. If he can find some opening.
Shot clock is off. Under 10. Jackson fouled by Weeks. And it's 3 shots at the line.
The ball movement had the defense adjusting. Noel Jackson. Not known for his great outside shooting. But watch the ball fake. The lean in, the contact. What a finish.
3 shots coming up for Jackson. He can give him the lead with 8 seconds to play. The Gators by 2.
Weber State, the opportunity. Noel Jackson. Look at the ball swing, the fake. 3 free throws going to the line. Down 2, an opportunity. Weeks, you cannot leave your feet in that situation. Weber State at that point, Kevin, did not have a lot going on the offensive end.
Noel Jackson, a 66% free throw shooter. This is his first trip to the line tonight.
And down the stretch against Carolina on Thursday. Made 1 of 2 towards the end of that ballgame.
3 coming up, the first of which is in. And it's a 1-point game and a timeout by Florida. They're trying to freeze him.
Good job by Billy Donovan. But he has 2 more free throws.
Weber State is out of timeouts. Florida has 120, and that's it. Now take us inside that huddle.
Well, one thing is he's talking about the opportunities. If both are made, he has another 20. They may push it to half court, then call the timeout. Some coaches like to do that. I would expect if he does make one or makes them both, Billy Donovan has something with a high screen and roll involved with Stolt, Dupay, the 2 shooters that can shoot it, Miller in one of the corners.
Following basketball, Martial Law and Sons of Thunder, starring Chuck Norris. On the line tonight, an outstanding 86% for Weber State. They beat North Carolina to get here in what has been the biggest upset so far in the first 2 rounds. Jackson again. Now what?
But he has to make. That's the key. If he misses and Florida gets the rebound, you shoot free throws. It's simply that.
He is here because he was fouled while taking a 3-point shot. If he hits it, he ties.
And if he makes it, Florida does no worse than go to overtime. They're going to take the last shot. Teddy Dupay has to be careful. Jackson, terrific defensively with his hand.
Dupay, the drive for the lead. Loose inside. We've got overtime in Seattle. This game has been played thick with emotion all night long. And it's not over yet.
The final play for the Gators, 8 seconds is plenty of time to go coast to coast. Teddy Dupay simply takes a one-on-one, but Jackson, again, slows him down. So the opportunity to look for teammates is not there, not the shot they wanted. Overtime, solid defense by Weber State, the reaction.
And they survived a 27% shooting second half. How much they have left in their tank? You thought early in the second half they were looking weary.
Well, the tank now refills for overtime. You have an opportunity. This is all you ask yourself. Give us a chance to win the last 2 or 3 minutes of any ball game.
With John Sungold and Mike Harris, Kevin Harlan from Seattle. We are in overtime, and we're tied at 68.
And Weber is 3-1 in overtimes. Kevin, they won a double overtime against Rice. They won 4 overtime against Eastern Washington. And Florida 0-1 in overtime games. They lost the last regular season game at Vanderbilt.
Gill missing the three. They're jousting inside. It's off Weber State, and the Gators will get it. Iowa wins today. St. John's clobbers Indiana and Bobby Knight. UConn convincingly with their win, and Gary Williams is going to the Sweet 16.
Florida has not gotten much out of the half-court offense the last 6 minutes of this game.
Wide open is Stoltz, and a great hesitation inside for two.
Good pass by Wright, high-low, and Stoltz. What a terrific night he's having, 23.
6 assists for Wright. With the length of our game, there will be no martial law tonight. Sons of Thunder immediately after the game.
2-3 zone. Arsenal has to be more available than simply standing. He can get the ball in the middle of the floor.
Jackson, who tied it with those free throws. Trying to dance on the mismatch with Miller. Shot clock is at 7. Gill shimmies inside, can't get it. Rebound through the hands of Jensen, tied up with Miller, and they call a jump ball. And on the tie-up, it will go to Florida.
Give Eddie Shannon the credit for this. Jensen thought he had the ball. Shannon came back from the guard spot. Loose ball, possession arrow.
This was the second overtime game of the tournament yesterday. A thriller between North Carolina, Charlotte, and Rhode Island. Stolt is unstoppable.
Well, mismatch down low. He's got a couple inches on Arsenal. He's physical, turning them loose. Arsenal again. He looks tired during the second half.
Weber State has not scored in overtime.
Greg Stolt, the senior co-captain. The freshman get a lot of publicity, but the seniors seem to win the ball games in NCAA play.
Gill to Jackson for 2, make it 3, and he can't get it, and Shannon rips it down. Due to the length of tonight's game, martial law will not be seen. Sons of Thunder will immediately foul this broadcast. The screen by Wright. Then he got it back. Back to Miller. Rebound Arsenal.
And the trigger's a little short for Miller tonight. Not releasing. Follow through, the hesitation.
Gill. Arsenal has not taken a shot in over 4 minutes, and he leads them with 30 points.
And when Gill stands, he's easier to cover. If he gives up the ball, start moving, because he's the shooter. If he would start sliding through this zone to find some avenue.
Arsenal up and off. And the rebound gobbled up by Jensen, hounded by Wright, and a foul is called on Florida's Wright.
Anytime you go to the zone defense, you're trying to solidify the rebounding down low, but players forget to put bodies on each other. Jensen doing a great job of attacking the glass.
Jensen will be at the free throw line as you take a look at Arsenal. 30 points. Weber State has yet to score in this overtime with 2:22 to play.
New Papa Andy Jensen, 68% free throw shooter. Pretty underrated in Big Sky Conference play. Does all the little things. About 10 points and 7 rebounds a ball game.
UConn is going to the Sweet 16 with their win today. And Gonzaga, the big story, with a upset over Final Four from a season ago, Stanford.
Again, Noel Jackson has active hands. Dupay has to be careful.
Out to Wright, swings it over to Shannon. Picked up by Gill. The screen by Wright, who gets it back. Jensen is on him. Stoll. He has come unshackled. Dupay on the fly. What a shot!
He hasn't hit them all, Kevin, but he's had the answer. He hit the three-point shot at the end of regulation to put him up by 1. This one on the drive, he's only 5'10", and that might be stretching it, but watch the quick release. Touch off the glass, the contact. Not afraid to take the big ones, is he?
What confidence. This team seems to drink in this kid's call. He's a freshman.
Well, it was his play the second half against Penn that ignited this Florida team.
the biggest Gator lead since the first half, up now 75-69.
And what the zone defense has done to Weber State is simply slowed them down offensively. They haven't been able to get any good set. The ball movement has slowed down. The body movement, not much there. Mark Lawson, an outside shooter.
Arsenault takes Dane from point-blank range and can't get it. Shannon gets it, but stepped out of bounds as he was hopping to get free.
But give Eddie Shannon credit again. Goes back from the guard spot to try to make the rebound. It's the second time in overtime that he's done that.
Shannon did not begin the season as a starter, but because of other reasons, he was elevated during the year. Arsenault, the catch and fire.
He's at his best, and he simply takes it and tries to do something right away. 68 points in 2 ball games.
Full court pressure employed now by Weber State. Weeks to Shannon. Inside. Great pass from the perimeter. Weeks to Stolt. Out of bounds, off the Gators with 1:23 in overtime.
And Stolt caught that ball and was surprised how far underneath the rim he was. Missed an easy 2.
35 on the shot clock. Full allotment, 75-71 the Gators.
And now you run the shot clock.
Knocked out of bounds by Jensen, and the shot clock second taken off. Dupain getting instruction from Donovan.
And Wright wants him to take it lower so they can get a screen on.
Foul on Arsenault inside, away from the ball. Much to his surprise.
And got Greg Stolt upside the head. Stolt has only shot 2 free throw attempts tonight, made one of them. What a ball game he's had.
He's Serrano Beglin, the coach, who might be in his final game with Weber State. Some off-the-court problems, some internal problems with recruiting violations, and he's been told by the university president that he will be over when the run is over in the tournament.
And would he consider coaching in a different school? He said only if it is the right situation.
He's never had a losing season in 36 years, high school, junior college, and major college coaching. Stolt watches that one trip to the side.
Billy Donovan changing his players for offensive and defensive reasons. Weeks comes back in. Teddy DuPage has a seat.
Stolt gets the back end of 2 and annexes the Florida lead to 76-71. Timeout taken by the Wildcats of Weber State. The Gators, a minute 2 from the Sweet 16, leading 76-71. In overtime, the Florida Gators, the 6th seed in this West region, on top of 14th seed Weber State. 76-71, and due to the length of tonight's game, martial law will not be seen tonight, but will be seen next week in its entirety and in its normal slot. After this contest, Everybody Loves Raymond and Sons of Thunder, a new series.
Yeah, plenty of time for Weber to get a good look.
Good ball rotation, Lawson.
And good move by Florida again. Get out to the shooter.
Gill tries to carve some room and does with a great shot. It's a 3.
And tried to draw contact at the same time. Tough shot.
Mike Miller, a freshman. Hemmed in. And a foul called on Weber State.
And Miller did what you're supposed to do. Step through the trap. The 2 men on you. Simply use his size and watch him step through. Although that's travel, he switched pivot feet. That's why Ron Beglin was up off the bench. He did switch his pivot feet. A break for this Gator team.
Mike Miller, a freshman, and perhaps the most recruited kid in high school basketball a season ago.
Take a look at the face of Ron Beglin. That's a traveling call.
Short, tapped, Miller clutches onto it. And then feeds to the safety of Shannon, who gives to Wright, who is immediately fouled by Lawson.
You know, Wright at 65% from the free throw line. Ronnie Beglin will take their chances. Down 3. Missed his only 2 attempts so far this evening.
Wright hits it. Billy Donovan, in just his 3rd year, 33 years old, was a point guard for Rick Pitino in that Providence team, the Miracle Providence Friars that made the Final Four in '87. Then was a coach with Pitino at Kentucky, so he has learned well, and he's got a 5-point lead in overtime.
And good job again by Florida to cushion this Weber State team from coming down too soon.
Jackson, the floater, hacked in inside, and a subsequent foul called on Weber State with 29 seconds.
And Billy Donovan said at the start of this season, I know we're young, and I hope we're good enough to get to the NIT. Picked 5th in the SEC East, but they finished 3rd. The young players came along faster than most thought. Solid. And they have played well here in Seattle.
Donovan played major college basketball. One time snapped a padlock off the windows at a local gym to practice at 1 a.m. He may have snapped that padlock again to get his Gators into the Sweet 16.
A young man that likes to compete. Was drafted and tried out for the Utah Jazz and was released, and he was kidding the Utah reporters, those that follow Weber State from Ogden. He said, you know, they didn't make a good decision. They kept that Stockton guy over me. I couldn't figure that out. Tongue in cheek. What a job he's done.
Lead is ballooned to 6 with 29 seconds to play in overtime, and a timeout taken by Weber State. 80-74. Due to the length of tonight's game, once again, Martial Law will not be seen, but will be seen next week in its entirety in its regular slot. And after this game, Everybody Loves Raymond and Sons of Thunder, a new series on CBS starring Chuck Norris with the guest appearance tonight.
You can see Billy Donovan in that huddle trying to tell his guys to go straight up. What Weber State has done and what they did at the end of the game, they've been jumping into the Florida players trying to draw contact to get the whistle to blow. Ronnie Beglin, it's still only a 2-possession game. They're down 6. They still have a chance.
And he's going uphill. After beating North Carolina and shocking the tournament, Weber State takes Florida a higher seed to overtime in round 2.
Good job again by Shannon and Weeks to make Weber State pick the ball up and push it up the floor with some token pressure. You have to go quicker than that.
Lawson, Gill, the pump fake in the final. Out of bounds off the Wildcats in 14 seconds to play.
Good move. Teddy Dupay comes right back in the lineup. One of the best free throw shooters on this ball club, Kenny Weeks, has a seat.
Into Dupay and quickly shackled in front of his opposition. Chevrolet Most Valuable Players of the Game, Harold Arsenault from Weber State with a 2-game tournament total of 68 points, 32 tonight. And Greg Stolt from the University of Florida, the number 3 all-time three-point shooter in the history of that program. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need.
Kevin, we always talk about the Florida offense, but it's really been the defense is advancing them to the Sweet 16 against Penn. On Thursday, Penn only shot 27% the second half. And tonight, Weber State shot 51% first half, only 27 the second half also. So it's been the defense of Billy Donovan. The adjustments they make at halftime have been terrific.
6-0 run by the Gators. Arsenault, a long distance 3. It's off, Wright controls it. And the young Florida Gators will dance all the way to the Sweet 16. They have defeated Weber State 82-74 in overtime. So Gonzaga, who earlier tonight defeated higher ranked, the highest seed in this particular region in Seattle, Stanford, will play the 6th seed Florida Gators next week in Phoenix, Arizona.
And that will be a shootout. Gonzaga can fire it. This Florida team can fire it. It should be fun.
Coming up next, everybody loves Raymond and Sons of Thunder. So now for Jen Sundgold and Mike Harris, this is Kevin Harlan saying so long from Key Arena in beautiful Seattle, where Florida in overtime has beaten Weber State 82-74. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the men's NCAA basketball championship.